A Chinese state-sponsored actor hacking the U.S. Treasury Department in what's being called a major cybersecurity breach. The hackers remotely accessing several user workstations and gained access to unclassified documents after compromising a third-party software service provider. That provider, Beyond Trust, informed the department about the hack on December 8th. A Treasury Department spokesperson says the compromised service has now been taken offline. Right now, there's no evidence China still has access to the systems. The FBI and the Cybersecurity Infrastructure Security Agency are also now investigating. I want to bring in Fox News contributor, Heritage Foundation Senior Fellow for China Strategy, and author of The 100-Year Marathon, Michael Pillsbury. Michael, I guess I'm becoming a big cynic when it comes to government systems and cybersecurity, but I was not in the least bit surprised that Treasury got hacked yesterday.
Cheryl, you're not alone. I think a lot of us are becoming cynics that the Chinese seem to have access to almost any American secrets they want to get. It obviously is good for them to focus on Treasury Department. Treasury is where the sanctions are. Treasury is where the currency manipulation issue is discussed. So, I mean, in a way, I'm surprised that they didn't hack Treasury even earlier.
Well, Samantha Dravis has a question along those lines for you. She's on set with me. Samantha, go ahead.
Yeah, Michael, I wanted to ask you, clearly it seems we don't have what we need to deter these threats. They're very concerning. And I would like to know, what are your thoughts on CISA, the Cybersecurity Infrastructure Agency? You know, there's been a lot of criticism that this is an agency in need of dire reform. There were reports that the agency was weaponized to go after disinformation on social media, and it was really weaponized into an agency that strayed from its true purpose. And so I actually took the time to go to their website and their Twitter. I don't see them posting anything about this. What is their response, and do you have concerns that this agency needs reform?
Yes, you've identified a really important problem, that different parts of our government are alert to the China threat to different degrees. And it's ironic that sometimes the people in charge of a really specific issue seem to be asleep at the switch. The Pentagon seems to be quite active. They put out reports, they conduct exercises, they're building a new generation of weapon systems. So the Pentagon doesn't need guidance on the China threat. Someone else who doesn't need guidance is Donald Trump himself. I'm an eyewitness that he went through real friction with most of his government in the first term on trying to get the China trade talks going and get a meaningful deal. A lot of the government just would not help Mr. Trump, and he had to conduct meetings and pretty much micromanage things himself. So I hope the lessons learned for the next term, all these mistakes that happened in the first term that President Trump had to correct. He had to fire some people too, as is well known. And if you're doing research on this, you might enjoy 4 or 5 of the memoirs that have come out. Jared Kushner's memoir, Peter Navarro's, Bob Lighthizer. They go into the friction and how much trouble there was among different units. And finally, President Trump just had to step in again and again and make things happen. I hope that's what's going to happen in the next term.
Well, I think it's pretty clear that he learned a lot in his first term, and he's going to be doing things very differently in his second term. Xi Jinping, by the way, reportedly telling President Biden in a condolence letter about Jimmy Carter that the U.S. China relationship is one of the most important in the world. Chinese state media says that Xi is also, quote, willing to work with the U.S. to promote the development of, quote, healthy, stable China-U.S. relations. I'm curious, Michael, if you buy that. But the Wall Street Journal is reporting that the U.S.'s channels with China have gone dark ahead of Trump's return to the White House. They say, and this is the Journal, Chinese officials have repeatedly tried and failed to get access to Trump's inner circle. What do you make of that?
Well, this is why Susie Wiles' ban on cabinet nominees posting their opinions is so important. We just can't have friction and trouble before the president is even inaugurated. And some people are already putting out things who are nominees or possible ambassadors that can mislead the Chinese. President Trump, about 25 years ago, wrote a book on how China was our major threat and what he would do if president. This is 25 years ago. And he said unpredictability and really harsh sanctions are the only way to get China's attention. It's in the book. 25 years is a long time, and we really haven't succeeded in implementing President Trump's vision then, candidate Trump, you might say, although he didn't run in 2000. So that's what
Michael,
we face right now.
I don't have a lot of time with you. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but when you say mislead the Chinese, can you be more specific on that?
Well, there's hawks and doves in any government. dealing with China. We've got people like Steve Bannon, who's very proud to say that China is the focus of evil. We've got Peter Navarro sometimes saying we should pull all U.S. companies out. We've got Gordon Chang saying close the embassy, have no relations with China, stop all trade. On the other extreme, you've got people who want to have business as usual with China. So what President Trump had to do in the first term is resolve these different points of view, including firing people. The president's in charge, and frankly, he's the only one who has the 25-year history of just how tough you have to be on China to get results.
What do you make of the criticism that Elon Musk has received, in particular because of his businesses in China? He is someone that is very close to President-elect Trump right now, and of course is tasked with DOGE and cost cutting. But he has been criticized by the mainstream media because of the Tesla issue and production in China. Does that factor into what you're talking about here?
Yes, it does. Elon Musk is one of the few around President Trump who has had a lot of contact with Xi Jinping. To have success in Shanghai with his huge Tesla factory there that he's the sole owner of, that's a huge achievement. He knows how to work with the Chinese and get what he wants. On the other hand, everybody knows he'll be kind of vulnerable to pressure on the Tesla factory in Shanghai. So it cuts both ways. Elon Musk could be a major asset and someone who knows how to deal with Xi Jinping as well as President Trump, or he could be a problem that he seems to speak up and take the Chinese line from time to time. That's why Susie Wiles' ban is so important, Cheryl. We don't want people tweeting and giving away the president's negotiating positions before the cabinet's even confirmed and before most of the ambassadors to Asia have not even been named yet.
Before you go, and I don't have a lot of time, these several defense experts are warning that China is directing the largest military buildup right now since 1930s Nazi Germany. Do you see that happening? Are they building up their military, and why?
Well, this is one of the things the transition teams are trying to figure out right now. Why this sudden jump in Chinese military exercises all around Taiwan? Every morning, Taiwan puts out how many PLA ships and aircraft were circling around Taiwan yesterday. This is really quite dangerous. We don't want, in the next 3 weeks, we don't want a war to break out and Biden to leave behind a huge conflict with China. So the transition teams are trying to find out, why did this buildup take place? What is our response? And is there any hope to maintain peace in Asia, or are we headed for a war left behind by the Biden team? I'm very much worried about that, Cheryl.
Yeah, I think many are as well. Michael Pillsbury, thank you so much. Always great to speak with you. You're a wealth of information.
Thanks, Cheryl.
Really enjoy it. And Happy New Year, sir.
Thank you, Cheryl. Happy New Year.